lead. Sykes goes to work, goes herself, gets to drop. Passes to Young, who kicks it out. It's Sharp for three, and the Perth Lynx escape with the win.
Round 11 of the WNBL season. It continues today with the UC Capitals up against the Townsville Fire. And the home for it is the nation's capital, so the home team, understandably very popular in this part of the world. There's a woman who knows all about the big time in basketball in Mia Murray, up against the Canberra Capitals, who are missing a few personnel tonight. The Capitals, they're 8-3. They're on a 5-game winning sequence coming into this afternoon. Meanwhile, the Townsville Fire, they're 6-5, but their best basketball has come on the road so far this season. It is the Capitals and the Fire, two teams which are well and truly in the mix for the playoffs. Corbin Middlemass and Laurie Chiswick on hand. Laurie, what are we in for in Prospect today?
Well, I think this is going to be actually a really close game, Corbin. Although, having said that, Townsville will have to play so much better than they did the other night against Bendigo. They just seemed flat to me and lacked energy. And so if you play a team like Canberra and you play like that, you're in for a bit of trouble.
Let's go back to Thursday night. So it was just a couple of nights ago. You mentioned that loss, 5 points in the finish, going down to Bendigo on their home floor. They shot just 68% from the free throw line, Laurie, and were out-rebounded by 16. The offensive rebounding numbers in the end were -9.
Well, I think that's the whole thing. They were just out-hustled, and especially on their home court. So, you know, you have to make sure that those effort things, the blocking out, the rebounding, the diving on the loose balls just get done. And as I mentioned, if they don't do that against the Capitals, they're in for a really long afternoon.
Alex Bunton's playing today. Megan Huswaite wrote a very moving piece today in the News Corp papers about her experiences with domestic violence while she was pregnant, but it was a very uplifting story as to the way that she's made her way back to basketball and in the competition. She's playing today. I highly recommend you check it out if you haven't had a chance to do so. And Megan's with us again courtside in Canberra today. Megan, firstly, congratulations on the piece. It was a fascinating read.
Thank you, Corbin. Good afternoon, guys. She's an inspiration, Alex Bunton, so courageous to publicly tell her story, and she's been through a harrowing experience, but as you said, a very uplifting story. She's healing and she's found her identity again, coming back to basketball, and the Caps and the WNBL's played a big role in that, so it's wonderful to see her back on court. Been in some good form, and she's going to get some extra court time today with some of the players missing for Canberra, so looking forward to a big afternoon from Alex Bunton.
Thanks, Megan. Look forward to chatting as the afternoon progresses. So the two teams, you can see them conducting their preliminary warm-ups at the moment. First of all, the home side, so the Canberra Capitals predominantly in black with the blue accent. And there's the starters. There's 5 players missing from their roster. Laurie Chiswick, that's who is out there.
Well, you can see from that starting lineup that they are not missing any of their big guns, which is great for them. And they've got Alex Bunton coming off the bench, Tupea. So they'll be really in good form. They haven't played for a little while because of that forfeit against Southside last weekend or a few days ago. So they'll be really fired up and raring to go and get this W in front of their home fans.
Yeah, first game since February 5. The 5 players that are missing, 4 due to the COVID protocols. Jade Melbourne, the biggest name, along with Alicia Froling, and then really development players or fringe players in Swain, Samuels and Potter missing for various reasons. The Townsville Fire, this is their lineup. The big inclusion is 0 right up the top, and Shook Sutton, who's back having missed Thursday night.
Well, she did. She missed that game, and I think they missed her on the court and just the intensity that she brings. So good to see her back in the starting lineup, and that'll free up somebody like Lauren Nicholson to really run the floor and see if she can get going. Lauren, I thought, was really quiet in the first quarter or first half of that last game, so she needs to step up and put in a really good performance today.
There's the refs in charge in grey this afternoon. Townsville are a fascinating team for me. I mean, their good is so good. They've got road victories against the Adelaide Lightning and the Melbourne Boomers, who are in the playoff hunt. And then their record at home is 2-4, which playing up in North Queensland, ordinarily that is an imposing home court advantage. But On the road, they're 4-1, so that's a hell of a record when they have to go away from home. And in COVID times, limited flights, often they're on connecting flights as they have been to the nation's capital, a 7-hour trip through Brisbane.
Well, I must say, I called the game on Thursday night, and I was really bemused by the way they came out. And to be flat in front of your home crowd, and as you mentioned, it's a fortress up there when you have to travel to Townsville and play. So for Bendigo to get that win was really big. But I think today, that they're going to come out, they're going to be really focused because they're going to want to make amends for the way they played. And so Townsville, I would expect to come out really fiery, really aggressive, and really a notch up from last game.
Just looking at the overall numbers this year, so points per game, the season averages +8 in favour of the Capitals. So they average 79 points per game, Townsville just 71. Interestingly, the Fire actually second last in points, rebounds and assists. So in the sort of 3 major categories we look at, but we obviously know they're a much better team than that. As their starting 5 is finished conducting their pump up. Now, last-minute message from Shannon Seabohm for the Townsville Fire. The key players to look at here, Michelle Billings to the right of screen there. Number 25 for the Townsville Fire, plays for the Atlanta Dream in the WNBA. She's a hell of a player and averaging 8 and 6 in the most recent season. And then Brittany Sykes playing for the LA Sparks. She's out there, number 24, the Canberra Capitals. So some world-class talent on display. 2 teams well and truly in the playoff hunt. We've passed the halfway mark. It's all downhill from here on the run home. Canberra on their home floor. Townsville trying to keep their reputation as the road warriors intact as we get ready to go. And the opening tip goes the way of the home team. So first possession to Kelly Wilson of the Capitals, away to Ruth, to Sykes, swings it up top to Griffin. Their start for so long. Smart with the bounce pass, down low to Sykes. Little spin move, a nice fadeaway. Just hits the baseline, Jay, beautifully to get Canberra the first points of the game.
Not much you can do to defend that. She just spun and went straight up with that shot, so that was hard to defend.
Averages 16 a game, Brittany Sykes, and that's the sort of stuff she can do. Nicholson to return the favour, misfires, left it a little short.
And you can see that Sykes is going to be guarding Nicholson, and I'm sure she'll wear her as a glove because we know what a great defender Sykes is.
Here's Ruth on the perimeter, the handoff. Brittany Smart, another naturalised Aussie. Bounce pass back to Ruth. Nice move in the paint, gets the shooter's roll. Back-to-back baskets, first 2 trips down the floor for Canberra. Reid trying to up the tempo. To Payne and out to Sutton. Swings it back to Reid. 10 left on the red numbers. Townsville, the visiting team, in the orange with the blue and white. Here's Reid, draws the defender and finishes just outside the charge circle. First bucket for the Fire.
Steph Reid is, you know, she's really cagey, and when she gets in there, she looks like she's going to pass, but that little spin around, step, and then look to score again is really crucial. You see Kelly Wilson going hard to the basket and drawing that foul and sending her to the line.
Picks up the foul there, her first, Steph Reid, after the points at the other end. They have met once already this year, going back to New Year's Eve. The game was in Townsville, and it was a wide margin, a little surprisingly, 76-52, so a 24-point win for Canberra that night.
Yeah, they were very comfortable in that win, again, in Townsville.
Fire shooting just 13% that night from the 3-point line, out-rebounded by 12. Canberra with points every trip down the floor so far.
I like how Canberra just extended their defense that little bit even this early in the game, just to change things up.
Nicholson trying to thread it through to Billings. Throws it away. Ruth, the quarterback, pass down the floor and bounces off the backboard. And that's one way to get their first stop of the game, the Townsville Fire, on the errant overhead pass.
Wouldn't that have been sensational if it had gone in?
Here's Nicholson on the elbow. Little step back, nice jumper. Starts her scoring. 6 points to 4, Canberra by a couple.
I like the fact that Nicholson is looking to get involved early on. It's something she didn't do in their last game, and so it's good to see.
Payne will be called for the foul here, trying to block the shot from Griffin. So foul shots coming up for Canberra.
She wasn't far off on that that long pass.
Griffin's first shot is good. 70% foul shooter so far on the season, and makes both on this trip. It's going to be a fascinating run home for the remaining few rounds in the WNBL. So really there's 5 teams you think in the mix trying to fit into the 4 spots as Sutton loses the handle.
You have got to be so careful and strong with the ball when you are playing the Canberra Capitals. They lead the league in steals. They've got quick hands. They try and deflect the ball.
Sykes extra pass to Wilson. The corner three's good, so Canberra with a hot start here. Take a foot on the line. They'll count that only as 2, so 6 the spread. Nicholson to answer back off the glass. That's good. Back to a 4-point game.
Both teams have settled into the game nicely, nice and early.
Roof, nice pass up top. Griffin, that high arcing 3. And makes good with that attempt. Up by 7, Canberra. Mention how good they are as a team on the steals, Canberra. They're leading in the competition for that. In the corner, 3-point attempt. Payne just rims out. Smart pulls down the rebound. And Brittany Sykes, obviously a huge reason for that. She leads the league with 3 a game, but also leads the big league as well, the WNBA. She was the leading player in that category at the end of last season. More points for Canberra here, and a timeout called by Shannon Seabohm. So, second game for Townsville in the last couple of days. The Canberra Capitals haven't played in 14 days. They've started like a team who's been well rested, Laurie Chiswick.
Well, they look like a team that just wanted to get out on the court and play together and you know, make things happen. They've really gelled well. Good timeout by Shannon. He needs to stop the stem of flowing here.
Like to have a special hello to a special guest who's here today. Dan Jackson is in the house.
Shannon Seabohm, sensational year last year with the Fire, taking them through to the grand final series. And there's Paul Goris, who's had an up and down the season for a number of reasons, but impeccable record as coach of Canberra. A couple of championships already under his belt.
Both coaches would be really, it's just so important at this time of year with only 3 or 4 rounds left to go to just be, not only get the W, but, you know, both these teams are still in a chance to be in the top 4. And so you want to be making sure that you're getting better every time you step on the court.
Big fan of the Canberra singlets as well. I like the black with the blue pinstripe, quite striking. Their home game here at the National Convention Centre, protecting a 9-point lead here in the opening term. Townsville with the ball. Here's Nicholson from the free throw line, a little long, and Sykes pulls down the board. Back the other way, Sykes in transition. He draws the foul, and she'll head to the line to shoot a couple. Rolls over Nicholson in the charge circle. She's in attack mode, Brittany Sykes, early in this game.
How athletic looking is that?
For people just flicked on and perhaps catching their first game of the year, I haven't seen much of the Canberra Capitals this year, Laurie. What does Brittany Sykes do well?
Oh, well, she runs the floor well. She's athletic. She can jump. You know, she's got a really nice drive to the basket and finish. And she's a good defender, too. But, you know, you talked about it just a few minutes ago. Active hands, you know, to be able to deflect, to steal. And when she steals the ball, it usually results in a layup at the other end.
Plays with the LA Sparks in the WNBA, which she'll be linking up with an Australian, of course, Liz Canday, signing with the Sparks officially during the week, which felt like the worst kept secret for a little bit in basketball circles. call here. I think it's... Was it going to be Canberra ball? I think they've been...
Didn't sort of see that one.
No, I thought they might have been picked for an 8-second call, but the clock's only got 14 on it. Canberra have the ball, and now Smart has a basket for that mid-range 2. All of a sudden, it's 13 points. So, horror start here for the road team in the Townsville Fire. Home team on top early. Jay just a bit short from Akuzo on the floor for her first minutes. Here's Griffin, the handoff to Sykes. Sykes pulls up, no good, and Woods comes up with a rebound for Townsville.
She had such a wide open shot there. It didn't go down, but Townsville really need to think about how they're defending those on-ball screens because she was too wide open.
And that's exactly what they can do. Both sides of the ball. In the end, they force the neutral ball or a jump ball situation, and possession arrow is with Townsville, so the Fire will maintain possession. Nicholson along the baseline, swings it up top to Reed. Reed off the dribble. Back up to Billings, mid-range 2, left it short. They recover the rebound. 13-point game. Canberra had points on their first 3 trips down the floor. Haven't looked back. Reed shot misses. Akuzo with the putback.
That was a good read by Akuzo. Just got the ball off the rim and didn't bring it down. Just kept it high and then put it back.
Megan Huswaite courtside.
Well, we know Canberra are a few players down today with COVID protocols. One of those, Kelsey Griffin, is not. Shanice Swain is one of those players they were hoping to suit up today and qualify her for finals equations and qualification. Definitely in the frame for a couple of teams at the moment.
Those thresholds are particularly important as we reach the end of the season, Laurie.
Well, they are. You want to qualify as many as possible for the very fact of COVID and injuries and whatever else has been thrown at teams during this WNBL season.
Heard Megan call that Kelsey Griffin basket, so 14 points already in the opening quarter, 22 to 18. Work to do for Townsville. Driving all the way to the basket, Woods, nice move through the lane.
I thought Woods played some really good minutes the other night.
Doing the work inside, particularly potent from the perimeter as well as really nice range and solid credentials through college. Oh, the look-away pass from Griffin, throws it away, and Woods comes up with the basketball. And foul's called on Bunton for the reach.
Really good rotation by Townsville. Went to double and knew that that pass was coming. Courtney Woods came up with it.
Woods went to Northern Illinois to play college there, and he's actually the all-time three-point leader after her stint at Northern Illinois. Holds the record. Billings up top, had a look, didn't take it. Given the cushion by Bunton. Hand off to Nicholson, down to Akuzo, deep 2, that's good. Starting to find their range, the Fire, back to a 10-point game.
That was good poise by Lauren Nicholson, just to read what the defense was doing, what they were giving her, and to find the open Akuzo.
Sykes along the baseline, misfires. Here's Nicholson. Works inside on Griffin. Puts up a tough shot. Hand got him on the way through from Griffin. She thought that was all ball. She gets called for it anyway, and Nicholson will have some foul shots coming up.
Personal foul number 1 for Kelsey Griffin. Turn back on for the UC Cats.
Emphasised a little earlier in the telecast, Laurie, about Townsville's form, particularly on the road this year. If you're watching early and you think, gee, it's 10 points the difference already. That's tough. They played on Thursday night. They're trying to back up here with travel involved up against a side that's well rested. Well, I will remind you, just a couple of weeks ago, we did the Boomers Townsville game. It was the second leg of the back-to-back for the Fire. They found themselves 15 down at halftime and still came back and won. So this team is never done.
I'm not sure the Melbourne fans are going to be too happy about you mentioning that again, Corbin.
Kanyankin just never out of it. As the bucket is put in there by Sykes. She's had a hot start. And in the end, Townsville will throw it away, trying to inbound the ball on the baseline. It's a 10-point game.
See, that's too easy for Sykes. She got by about 3 players there, and then to put the pressure on enough so that Townsville threw the ball away again.
Ooh, Sykes ended up on her backside. 3-point shot goes up from Roof, misfires. She looked like she hit the floor hard there. No call from the refs either way. Sykes has had a spectacular start. She's on D here, trying to stop Nicholson, who fights through the defense, puts the shot up, doesn't go, and Akuzo last touches it over the sideline. 10-point spread. It's the Capitals who lead it here as we near the end of the opening term. Is Abby Cabillo on for her first minutes? Shares it with Sykes. Final 2 minutes here at the opening quarter. Bunton along the baseline. Draws the foul. Tina Akuzo will be called for that. Fantastic year she had last year. 6th Woman of the Year.
The thing I liked about Bunton there, as she was making her move, she was staying nice and low and in a position of strength.
Bunton catches up top. Cabillo off the dribble. Down low. Bunton, shot up, no good. Rebound to Roof, puts it back up, catches the bottom of the rim. Canberra still with the ball. Cabillo takes Reid off the dribble. Floaters up, off the glass. Nice move through the paint. Back to a 12-point lead for the Caps.
Oh, nice backdoor cut. Great job by Nicholson, and even a better pass.
You saw that coming. Laurie Chiswick and Lauren Nicholson on the end of it. Gets it back to 10. Clean look, catch and shoot, and Tapia bangs that down. The first time she touches the ball, and it results in a 3.
Well, she is a great 3-point shooter, and she was really set. Her feet, her hands, she was ready to shoot that ball.
Back to an equal game high. 13 points Canberra's way. Final 40 seconds here before quarter time. Akuzo in the low block, backs her way in, jump hook, left it short. And Bunton recovers it for the Capitals. They get a 2 for 1 here if they go quick enough. They won't. Tapia had the look, dribbles inside, Bunton down low with the mismatch, swings it along the baseline. Here's Cabillo to Sykes, back to Cabillo, 3-pointer up, wow. And that's good too.
Such great ball movement and recognizing what is a good shot and what is a great shot, and that extra pass left her wide open.
They have hit 32 first quarter points. This margin is ballooning, and as time expires, before the shot goes up from Reid, that's
to everyone who said we're not strong enough, not fast enough, wrong. We're crossover queens, scoring buckets, taking names and hitting no-look threes. We fight for every ball. And do we dunk? Hell yeah. When we roll onto the court with nothing to lose and everything to prove, you're in for a show. She got style, she got balls, she got belief, she got game.
The Australian Gliders captain Georgia Munro-Cook, and the Gliders, our Australian women's wheelchair basketball team, have been in camp this week in Canberra. How did it go?
Yeah, it's been going really well. It's the start of our new cycle after Tokyo, our first time back, and it's been really exciting to get back into the swing of it.
And you've got a qualifying tournament coming up. When and where?
About May. I think it hasn't been exactly decided yet, but it's going to be in Thailand, and that's the qualifiers for the World Championships, which will be in Dubai at the end of the year.
Oh, looking forward to it. Thanks for joining us. Have a great lead up to the qualifiers and all the best.
Thank you.
Thanks, Georgia.
Thanks to Megan as well. Nice to hear from Georgia. There's always something happening in the nation's capital, isn't there? It's like all our high-quality, high-performing sports teams find themselves there at different times.
It's great to see the Rollers in a camp there and you know, kick-starting their next campaign.
Yeah, feels like every quality sports person, and for obvious reasons, their journey passes through Canberra at some stage, and the national wheelchair team's there at the moment. So 32-16, Townsville with work to do. Their second game of the round. Bunton swings it to the weak side, throws it away. Sutton downhill, bounces off her foot over the baseline. Whose ball's this? I think it's going to go the way of the Caps. There'll be a conference between the two refs. Sykes is getting ready for the inbounds. It will be. That's a good call. Without the aid of the video, last touch by Sutton, Canberra ball. What would Shannon Seabohm have been saying at quarter time, Laurie?
Well, it's a bit difficult because for for Capitals, they've got, you know, 4 scorers out there, so it's not a matter of saying you've got to shut somebody down, but I think they've got to be a little bit more accountable for their own player and really try and stop some dribble penetration. Having said that, they're shooting the lights out from the three-point line. They're now 5 from 6. So you've got to close out long, carry a hand, and then contain as well.
Sykes, more points for her. After having 6 in the opening quarter, the spread of scoring, as you said, is tremendous. Nicholson to try and answer back, misfires. And pulling down the rebound to Payer. Early advance up the floor. Sykes just slowly dribbles into the three-point line, puts it up, and then pulls down her own ball. Gee, she's doing it both sides of the ball at the moment. Brittany Sykes. One of the most dominant guards we have in the league this year. Tapia puts up the shot, no good, skims the front of the rim. Townsville back the other way. Nicholson into the corner. Murray, the corner 3 with a bit of assistance. We've seen that plenty of times. Mia Murray.
X marked the spot for Mia Murray. Those corners, her favorite.
Bunton to Tapia. Here's Roof, pulls up. Oh,
so
just
Townsville
behind the free throw line.
Sorry, Corbin. Townsville were in a zone there, and at least it's forced a contested shot or a bad shot from Canberra. So maybe that's something they can stick at, although they'll have to be careful of that three-point shooting.
Oh, Megan Huswaite, another turnover, so Canberra ball in their front court.
And the crowd are loving it, Corbin and Laurie. As we know, it is Canberra's first nationally broadcast game today, and it's wonderful to have Kelsey Griffin exciting them. But it's great to have the home crowds back at the WNBL this season.
My apologies, Megan. They've got plenty of reason to cheer and smile at the moment. That is a 19-point lead now.
I think every time we throw to Megan and Kelsey Griffin has the ball, she shoots a 3. So, you know, take some credit, Megan.
You just mentioned those numbers, 6 of 7 now from the three-point line, the Capitals.
Personal foul number 1. Italia's 2 players.
That's cash. Griffin up to 11 points. 9 for Sykes. 6 for Wilson so far in the game. Can Nicholson try and swing some of that momentum? Murray with the extra pass. Sutton dribbles inside. The step back 2 is long, and Sykes on the rebound. Back the other way. Sykes just bangs bodies with Nicholson. Foul called, trying to make her way to the bucket on the Euro step.
Personal foul number 1.
You can just see by the stats with Townsville having 3 assists compared to the Capitals' 8 assists. The Capitals are just moving the ball, getting it through hands, player ball movement, where whereas Townsville just seemed that little bit more stagnant.
Shot rims out from Brittany Sykes. Sykes 75% on the season so far. Second shot misses. 19-point game, as wide as it's been. Megan Huswaite.
Townsville Games record holder Michaela Cox into the game for the first time this afternoon, and they could really do with her experience here.
Missed last year, Michaela Cox, obviously becoming a mum. Young Hazel, her daughter. Great to have her back in the league. What an athlete she is at 35 years of age. As Megan said, on for her first minutes. On defense here. 5 left on the shot clock. Sykes with time running out, puts the shot up, misfires. Townsville get a stop. They need a few more of those. Payne for 3. Rims out. Payer on the rebound.
That was a nice look. That was a good push by Sutton to get the ball up the floor and see if they could get an easy transition basket.
Sykes to Payer, attacks the basket, shot up, no good. Billings pulls down the rebound. Yeah, hell of a shooting performance, particularly from long range already for the Capitals. 6 threes have landed, still 6 to go before half-time. Payne dumps it down low. Billings goes to work, and 1 to come.
I was just thinking, we haven't seen much of Billings. The ball in her hand, but Michaela Roof's doing a great job on her, but great re-screen. So inside, back out again, a good re-screen, and Nadine Payne passing it back in. Great job, great effort.
Monique Billings averaging 18 and 8 this year. She's 73% at the line, and those numbers aren't improving here. 17 the margin.
And here's this zone that Townsville are throwing.
Roof the handoff to Smart. She is lethal from long range. Misfires here. Murray on the rebound. Shook downhill and a hand in there from Smart. Not happy with the call, but that'll count against her as a personal. Her first in the game.
I always think you're lucky when you get you swipe from behind because you're being beaten, and you don't get a call.
Billings recovers the ball baseline, driving to the rack. She's fouled. Athletic move from Monique Billings. Griffin will be called for it. Foul shots coming up. Left in the air and just was able to seem to hang there for a couple of seconds, Billings, before coming back down to earth.
I'm glad to see her involved in this game now, because she was quiet, and she's their top scorer, their top rebounder. So she needs to play an integral part if this team want to win.
She's having a bit of a laugh about it. She's just again at the foul line, so 0 of 2. Her third straight 3, and it goes all the way around the world before dropping. Back to 16 points. Was as wide as 19 earlier in the quarter. Here's Wilson to Roof. Roof pulls up. Nice jump shot. Not a lot of arc into shot.
No.
It was flat, but he got the bucket. Back to 18 points. Billings, great move. The 1-2 pass with Michaela Cox. Ball ends up over the baseline. The basket cut from Michaela Cox. Last touch by Griffin on the way through, so Townsville will maintain possession, but with plenty of work to do. Here's Nicholson, one of the stars of the competition last year, and fringe opal out to Payne, and Payne good from long range.
They needed that basket, and there's still 5 minutes to go in this quarter. If they can get this around that 10-point margin, that'll do well. They'll do well.
Loose pass from Smart. Now a chance in transition. Reed looking for the contact. She gets it. Knew it was coming, and foul shots coming up for Steph Reed. Nice anticipation from Billings in all of that.
Personal foul number 2 for Britt Smart. Timeout call by the UC Capitals.
Now a timeout call.
Next Step Basketball.
Margin at 15. As mentioned earlier, we saw them on the road in a nationally telecast game just a couple of weeks ago, and they were able to reel in a 15-point deficit Townsville at halftime to come back and win against another championship contender in the Boomers on that occasion.
I don't think you'd want to go into every game thinking, we can do this. If, you know, we've done it before, we can do it. You just don't want to put yourself in that situation.
Absolutely.
Are you ready to make some noise for the UC Capitals?
But I must say, I feel like this quarter that they've certainly stemmed the flow of the Capitals' scoring output.
Let's listen in.
Right, Nad's come off, so pitch it to her. I want to get back to the step up. Right, Mo setting it, come off, they'll ice, dive, and now throw it back, 2 passes. Right, throw it back. Yeah, if they deny Steph, straight to Mo. Right, here we go. Hey, stay with it, girls. Fire. Good job, Mo, good job.
The other thing I was thinking might be a strategy for Townsville is that given, you know, there's a few less players there, if they got any of them into foul trouble, their rotations are just slightly different, especially with Jade Melbourne not playing. She's a regular in their rotation. But again, you don't want to focus on that.
So Reed second at the foul line is good. 2 of 2 on this trip. Take the 13 points, was as wide as 19. A double team on for Townsville. Wilson to pay a free. A foot behind the 3-point line. It doesn't matter. Talia Tapaya. She's an assassin from out there. Megan Husway.
Well, Shannon Seaborn was just telling his Townsville players at the start of the timeout, really happy with the last few minutes, particularly the communication and talk out there and the activity. Reckons if they can keep that going in that stretch, they can reduce this margin heading into halftime.
Players had 2 looks from the field and banged down both from the 3-point line. Now, hot shooting night continues. The Capitals are 7 of 10 from the 3-point line. And they lead the game by 16. Sykes up top. 10 left on the red numbers to Griffin. Clean look. Can't give her those. Kelsey Griffin backs it down. All of a sudden back to 19.
They are putting on a real shooting display for their home fans.
There's something about the home rims and being able to play in your own gym. They haven't been here for a while. 14 days since their last game. As you said, they have shot the lights out of 8 of 11 from long range. Still 3.5 to go before half time. Reed to Cox, down to the corner. Here's Payne, drives baseline, gets an answering bucket.
Kuzo did a great job of just holding out her player so that she had a clear path to the basket along the baseline.
Here's Sykes down low.
Oh.
Swings it away to the weak side, finds Roof. Great pass back to Wilson. Tremendous team basketball by the Caps.
It is, and it's so nice to see when it's pretty simple basketball. A lot of movement.
Oh, Nicholson will be called for the offensive foul. As Smart hits the hardwood, the refs bought what she sold. Townsville get possession back.
Personal foul number 2, Lauren Nicholson.
Yeah, just lean that shoulder in, just try to clear out a little bit of space for herself.
An equal game high, 19 points Canberra's way. First nationally telecast game of the season for the Capitals. Smart tries her hand from long range, no good. Cox pulls it down. Cox fights through the D. Up top to Reid, now in the corner. Nicholson for three, can't complete it. And Griffin reaching up the back, falls down the board.
She didn't even jump, did she? She was just reaching.
14 points, 3 boards in the game for Kelsey Griffin. Leads all scorers. Smart up top for three. Not quite. Sykes, athletic rebound and the putback. Up to 50 before the half, the Capitals.
Townsville really have no answer for the way that Canberra's playing, the way they're moving the ball. They just look a little bit behind their footwork, their steps are just behind. They're being very, very reactive on defense.
Here's Wilson up top, 90 seconds to go before half-time. Roof to the corner, Sykes for 3 more. Roof reaching for it. Eventually recovers it. Not in the end. Nicholson steals it away. Megan Housewaite courtside. Another steal. Wilson for 3 more. There are 5 that can't be put out at the moment, this Canberra team. They're up by 22. A new high water mark a minute to go before halftime.
60% from the three-point line, 9 out of 15. Wow.
22 points the margin. 9 of 15 from long range. Reid for one back the other way. No good. And Griffin pulls down the rebound. The storyline really, we talked a lot about Townsville and where they're at and how good they've been on the road, and second game in 3 days. But the story around the Canberra team, they haven't played in 2 weeks. Had a number of players missing. Griffin for 3 more, left it short. 4 in the COVID protocols. They have another player who's been stood down, so 5 unavailable off their roster. They have completely taken apart a really good contender through their hot shooting in this first half, and have blown the margin wide open. It's ballooned to 22 at halftime, Canberra's way. The Caps 53, Townsville 31. A 22-point spread, 3 scorers in double digits. Griffin with 14, Wilson and Sykes with 11. 9 of 16 from the three-point line. And it felt like Laurie Chiswick at one stage with about 3 minutes to go in the half that Townsville had turned some of that momentum. Well, Canberra blew all of that away moments later. Kelsey Griffin is with Megan Housewaite. Megan.
She sure is, Kelsey. That would be up there with one of your best halves of the season, and against some adversity as well.
Yeah, you know, this season's been full of adversity, so we don't have any excuses. Every team's had it this season. I think our defense can still get a bit better. We've left them wide open for some shots, and they're very capable shooters, so we probably need to address that at halftime.
We did see Townsville come from 20 points down to beat Melbourne, so you know they've got the fire in their belly and they can do it.
They definitely do. They've got lots of competitors led by Laws, and we know she's a fighter and a scrapper, and she's going to do everything she can to lead her side back.
You're dripping like a tap. We'll let you get in there. Thanks, Kelsey. Good luck in the second.
Maybe you can get the air conditioning turned on for me.
We do what KG23 says. We need the aircon here at the National Convention Centre.
Thanks, Megan. 22 at half time. They're in their home gym. 43-31. It is a wide margin at halftime. Laurie Chiswick in favour of the home team. The Canberra Capitals are shooting the lights out. They've made 9 threes in that first half of basketball, past the 100 before halftime.
Well, sometimes a team, no matter how good your defense is, if a team is on fire, they're on fire. And certainly the Capitals have been putting on a show for their home fans.
Yeah, it's quite phenomenal. They are missing 5 players from their roster, but really 2 of their key players in Froling and Jade Melbourne, who are both out. They haven't played in 14 days. No sign of rust. That's a scoring binge in the first half with 53 points to lead another really good team in the Townsville Fire, albeit having played on Thursday night, so a second game with travel involved in 3 days. A couple of players in particular, they've got 3 in double digits. First of all, Brittany Sykes, who has done it on both sides of the ball throughout the game so far. She's leading the competition in steals the same way she led the WNBA, but also 11 points to her name to halftime.
Well, it's nice to see her scoring, because we know her for her athleticism, for her steals, for her quick hands. So, you know, she's known for her drives. She's just very explosive. We see her shooting a 3 there, which is great, just to, you know, something a little bit different, a pull-up jump shot. So she's doing it in different ways. But I just really, really love the energy that she's bringing. She's got those points, but she also has 5 assists, so she's facilitating for her teammates as well. So she's playing a real all-round game right now.
Griffin as well. Kelsey Griffin has been a star in this league for a long time. She's 34 years of age, would you believe? It feels like she's still very much in her physical prime. Is she ever going to decline at some stage? And with 14 points in the first half, it doesn't look like it's going to be today.
Well, she's just parking herself out at that 3-point line and feeling very, very comfortable. Again, it's really good to see her being involved early, feeling confident, leading her team. We know what a leader she is on the court, the way she sets screens, the way she talks to her teammates. But right now, 3-point line, yeah, she's on fire.
Kelly Wilson passed a significant milestone early this year, made it through the 400-game barrier. She was already the game's leading games record holder, and now she's the first into the 400s. She caught up with Megan Huswaite pre-game.
Well, Kelly Wilson is the first player in the history of the WNBL to reach 400 games. She did so earlier this season. And Kelly, you continue to make history with every game you play. How are you enjoying your first season back after having a baby?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. We don't know what's going to happen from week to week, but we're just going with it. And it seems as though we haven't played a whole heap of games recently, but we're excited for our game tonight.
What did it mean to play the 400 and become the first player in 42 seasons of this competition to achieve it?
Yeah, look, when you put it like that, it's obviously something I should be thinking about, but it did feel like any other game. It just felt like a milestone that had taken a long time to get to. We missed a few games, but we got there eventually.
Now, you broke the record for the most games in the WNBL in what ended up being your last game back for Bendigo a few seasons ago, and then you've welcomed little Ted in the meantime. How did you come to return to basketball this season?
Look, it was the furthest thing from my mind when I was pregnant and when I was newly postpartum, but a few months in I started getting that competitive vibe back and started having a few shots around at the stadium and thought, you know, I might be able to do this again, and here I am.
Your great mate, Kelsey Griffin, you've played in championships together across 2 clubs. Did she have a big say in getting you back on court?
She is very convincing, and I'm not sure why I keep ending up in Canberra, but here I am. And look, I love the Capitals. I had a great time, a great experience last time I was here, and they were so accommodating and welcoming of me and my family, so here we are.
What's it like to play in front of your baby?
It's amazing. He has no idea what's going on, but sometimes I see him clapping with my husband there, so it gives me a lot of joy, and I just love seeing his face after the game, and he loves being around the girls, so that's great for me.
Has been an interrupted season, as you said, but the Caps are going great guns. How are you enjoying the campaign?
Yeah, look, it's obviously, like I mentioned, we feel like we haven't played many games recently, but we're looking forward to the second half of the season. We've got some challenging games coming up, and we know that every team in this league is hard, and it's going to be a tough fight every single game.
Well, it's a terrific milestone, Kelly, so well deserved, and we love watching you every week in the WNBL. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Great to hear from Kelly Wilson. So 400 and counting. We said that at the time, and there's no slowing down.
She is somebody, too, when you talk about Kelsey Griffin, she plays at the same pace. It's fast, it's furious, she's got her game face on. She's had that on for over 400 games, and it's so fabulous to see.
point land for the Canberra Capitals. In Townsville, it's been hard to assess their game. They haven't been able to sort of deal with the smoke that's been thrown at them by the Canberra Capitals, but all of a sudden they're in a 22-point hole, Laurie Chiswick, that they've got to try and turn around here in quarter number 3.
Well, you can tell by the halftime stats how well Canberra are playing as a team. 13 assists and only 4 turnovers. They are taking care of that basketball and getting a great shot up every time. Conversely, Townsville, 9 turnovers for the half, just way too many.
Megan Huswaite's courtside. Megan.
Shannon Seaborn just talking to his Fire players ahead of this third term, asking them to build pressure and be aggressive. He thinks they can still get back into this game if they can tick that box.
Billings trying to link up with Sutton in the passing lane. Smart got a hand on it. Over the sideline, Townsville ball, 5 left on the shot clock. Now, I know it feels like we always point the finger at the imports when sort of things go south, but you bring them in to play a role at half-time. They've had 3 looks between them.
Yeah.
Billings, one of 2 from the field. Sutton doesn't have a single point. She's 0 of just 1 from the field.
Well, and Billings averages 18 points a game, so...
1 on the shot clock. Reed got it up, and it's in. That'll do. A finger roll for Reed to start this second half. The first score of it, 20-point lead for the Caps.
They're going to have to come up with some consecutive stops in order to try and, you know, pinch back some of this score, this margin.
Oh, Wilson swings it to the weak side corner and a fingertip on it on the way through. Shug Sutton. The last touch, and there's Reed's layup to start the scoring. Here's Sykes. Gets to the rack, shot up, and that's good too. Rides the contact. Sutton at the other end. Just her second look, her first make.
That's a good answer straight away. The problem is they can't keep exchanging baskets. They've got to come up with a stop, as I said.
There's been no slowing down this scoring so far. Wilson draws the double team. Smart, free on the weak side, puts up the shot. Off target. Payne with a long rebound. Reed to Payne, and now to Sutton. Rolls around the screen, now lost the handle. Ruth comes up with it, downhill. Smart lays it in off the glass. Easy points in transition.
Sorry, that looked like a tired Townsville. Just getting back in defensive transition. They were there, but they weren't talking. They didn't match up, and in the end, it was an easy basket.
6-5 on the season. Townsville a slip up at home against the Spirit back on Thursday night. 4 wins from 5 starts on the road, hoping to keep it going here. It hasn't started well for them. Down large. Reed trying to work her way to the basket. Doesn't quite get the shot to go. Sykes down low, trying to back her way in. Step back Jay, left it short. Sutton on the rebound. Over to Billings. Griffin comes up with it for the Caps.
The idea was there to get it into Billings, get it up high, but there were, you know, Kelsey Griffin, Michaela Ruth, that's a tough ask over them.
Oh, Nicholson runs into some strife. Awkward landing too. She's slow to rise. I'm going to have a look at that as to how her ankle is here and the way that she fell. Looked like she got tangled up with a couple of defenders on that left ankle.
Oh, I'm just not good at watching slow-mo injury replays.
Every hooper, I think, knows the feeling there, Laurie Chiswick. Oh. Lauren Nicholson, the Townsville superstar, rolling her left ankle.
Oh, that did not look good.
And now having to be helped off the floor. And things are going from bad to worse for the visitors. As Nicholson, their superstar, out of the game with 10 points, at least for the time being. 3 and 4, but that looked nasty.
Oh, I'll be really surprised if she comes back on the court.
Megan Huswaite courtside.
Just down here at the Townsville bench, and she's almost in tears, Laura Nicholson. She's grimacing. We saw Shannon Siebel, the coach, helping carry her off there, but things are going from bad to worse for the Fire, unfortunately, right now.
Feels like that's just let a bit more air out of the balloon.
You know, this is where you hope your team can sort of rally around and go, okay, we're down by a lot, we're without Lauren Nicholson now, but let's compete to the best of our ability. So let's not let this score blow out anymore. And often teams it can almost be a refocus for a group.
Steph Reid guarded by Wilson, takes her on, draws a foul. On her way to the basket.
She's just making sure the call is for them.
Personal foul number 3 for Britt Smart. Correction, Britt Smart.
Brittany Smart called for her 3rd personal. There's Lauren Nicholson. Deep discussion with the physio. Reid at the foul line, hits her first. She's up to 7 points in the game. Second shot's good too. Make it 8. Feels like we're flying through the game. Wide margin, hasn't been a heap of timeout. Shannon Seabohm called a couple early, trying to arrest some momentum, but...
Well, the Capitals really haven't had to use their timeouts. They've been playing so well, shooting the ball so well, and there goes another example from the 3-point line from Brittany Smart.
10 threes now for the Capitals. Brittany Smart, that is her MO. That's her first of the night. She's 1 of 5 from long range. And as a collective, they're 10 of 20. Sutton can't get that to go. 21 the margin. It's been a very stress-free afternoon at the basketball for the Canberra fans. Come along and watch the home team. And
watch this shooting display.
Oh, they're out big and they have not let up. Wilson, clean look on the perimeter. Left it short. Long rebound to Smart. Putback's good. 2 more. Smart did 9.
Those are the little things that Townsville should be able to take care of. It doesn't matter who's on the court. You know, you can't control necessarily how well Canberra are shooting other than to, you know, try and get more contested shots. But little things like blocking out, you can control that. You can control the effort things.
New game high, 23 points. Sykes swings it away to Wilson. Down low to Griffin along the baseline. Back to Sykes. Still 8 left on the shot clock. Smart for back-to-back trip. She knocks that down again. Make it 11 threes for Canberra.
Well, they've got 4 players in double figures now, all very evenly spread out, and that's tough to defend.
It's a hell of an offensive display, as we've emphasised throughout. 65 points with a quarter and a half to go.
And they average 79 points, second behind Perth, so I think they're well and truly going to surpass that today.
That's Griffin's first one from inside the 3-point line. She lays it up for 2. She's 4 of 7 from long range, now bucket inside, up to 16 points. The margin's at 28. And Shannon Seabohm says, let's have a chat, as we saw Lauren Nicholson getting her ankle attended to.
Well, that's an interesting one. If it's a bad sprain, but they're trying to tape it up and get her back out there, do you really risk that when you're down by this margin? You know, and you have an important game coming up against Melbourne. It's a tough decision.
Here's Shannon Seabohm, coach of the Fire.
Okay, Griffin's on, you've got her, you've got Ruth, okay? Let's go, next offense, go Horns 5, right, for Mo. Horns 5 for Mo, okay? Right here, let's go double fist back to head tap, just for this one play. Okay, then we're, right, hey, Sorry, my fault. Right. Pawns 5, right? And then on the score, we'll go head tap 1 play, right? Good, here we go. Fire.
If you coach long enough, Laurie Chiswick, you'll be able to speak to this. I'm sure at some stage in your coaching career, you find yourself in this position. Down 28, still a long time in the game to go. How do you approach it as a coaching exercise?
Well, you know, I think you have to just, there's no point in ranting and raving. I think you have to, and as you could see, very measured by Shannon Seabohm, very specific in what he wanted to run this play. We'll see if we can get Monique Billings inside, an inside look. But you just have to keep your team as motivated as possible. And I think you have to stay positive at this stage. It doesn't serve any purpose to be otherwise.
Nicholson looks in a lot of pain.
Yeah, she does. I'd be very surprised if she came back on, and I'm not sure why you would put her back on.
Having that left ankle retaped. To pay her on the perimeter. Down low to Button. Goes to work, kicks it back out. Time running out on the shot clock. Down to 5 seconds. The bounce pass through to Button. Can't control it. Over the baseline it goes.
I think I would have liked to see Tupea pull up there and shoot that, putting Bunton under a lot of pressure to, you know, make that tough pass, a pickup and a finish as the clock's expiring, the shot clock.
Sutton with a couple of baskets in this quarter. The leading scorer in the game, Lauren Nicholson, off with a rolled left ankle earlier in the quarter. Shot goes up from Billings, doesn't go. Jack hit most parts of the rim this afternoon, Townsville. The two-point comparisons aren't actually that different as Tupea fills it up again. It's the 12th made 3 for Canberra, and that's the difference in the game. 12 of 23 from the three-point line.
Yeah.
Townsville 2 of 9.
They're just feeling it as a team, not just an individual player, but as a team.
Michaela Cox trying to go at Smart. Nice D. Smart got a hand on it on the way through. Time running out. As the clock expires, the shot goes up. Canberra will get it back again. Megan Huswaite courtside.
Coming up for the UC Caps, number 3, Michaela.
31 the margin. 2.5 to go before three-quarter time. Tupea. Off target, the putback button. Everything's falling away with the Capitals.
Well, they averaged 72 points against them across the course of this season so far. That's certainly going to improve with keeping Townsville to 39 right now.
Sutton just pulls up off the dribble, misfires. Final 2 minutes of the quarter. Wilson, a 400 gamer. Tupea, back to Kelly Wilson. In rhythm. Shot doesn't go, and Murray pulls down the board. Sutton, hand on the way through, and a foul called on Kelly Wilson.
I've been watching McSpadden up and down the court on a few possessions, and I really like her energy. She's trying to set good screens. She's really talking to her teammates, going after boards every opportunity. So, you know, she's stepping in there and trying to bring something to this team.
You mentioned their second game in a couple of days for Townsville, but I mean, we talk all the time about how these things swing in sport. You could say, well, Canberra haven't played in a minute. They've had 14 days off. How much of that is rust? How much of it is rest as to which way these things play? But
absolutely.
The one thing that's interesting to note about Townsville tonight is Zatina Rakuzo's played less than 10 minutes.
Well, and she didn't start on Thursday. She didn't start in today's game either. Just to put that into context, we're over
28 minutes collectively into the game, so a possible 28 minutes, 29 minutes almost. She's played less than 10.
And I think when she does get back on the court, and I'm sure she will, just watch her up and down the court, because again, I think she's looked a little bit slow, and so whether she's carrying an injury or something, that's something we're not aware of.
Ruth tries her hand from three. That's good
to
too.
be kidding me.
They cannot be stopped on the perimeter. They're up to 13 made threes. We've still got a minute to go in the third, Megan Huswaite.
Update on Lauren Nicholson down here on the sideline. The Townsville physio bandaged and taped her ankle. She put her sock and shoe on and tried to walk on the sidelines with no luck. She's still in a lot of pain. They're just going to ice it up now and hopefully a bit of luck, but you can just tell with the look on her face, unfortunately. She's in an awful lot of pain.
It's not good news. One of the superstars of the competition, Lauren Nicholson. Rolling her ankle earlier in this third quarter. Time running out on the red numbers. Reed pulls up. No good. 13 seconds to go. Downhill come the Caps.
Surely they've got to shoot a three.
Oh, to pay a loose handle. Reed trying to steal it from her. Jump ball called. Possession arrow with Canberra. So catch and shoot play here. 2 seconds left on the game clock. Cabillo from long range. Left it a little short. The pain continues for Townsville. They were down by 16 at quarter time.
Townsville, North Queensland is the perfect place to live, invest, work and play. Townsville is Australia's largest garrison city, the events hub of Northern Australia, home to major industry and a bustling global port. Townsville has a diverse economy boasting world-class expertise in tropical health and sustainability, with major tertiary hospitals, universities and research facilities. Your next opportunity awaits. This is Townsville.
Bring on the summertime.
Win streak. Megan Huswaite, what's happening with the Lynx?
Well, Perth are finally home. They exit home quarantine tomorrow and they will be hosting a home game on the weekend of March 3 when the borders open. The WNBL will also be announcing the remaining games of the season early next week. So Perth, top of the ladder. They haven't even played a home game yet. Bring it on.
You up for a trip to Perth, Megan?
Hell yeah.
Get the feeling we could have some playoffs there, Laurie Chiswick over in the West.
Well, I tell you what, Perth are going to have to play a lot of games in the last 3 weeks of the competition. So either that'll be great for them and they'll be really fine-tuned and ready for the playoffs, or they'll be a bit tired. But I think it'll be the first one where they'll be firing up and ready to go.
It's easier to play them too when you're sleeping in your own bed, I'm sure. The chance to be back at home for the Perth Lynx.
Well, wouldn't it be interesting? You know, I thought about this too, you know, that sometimes being on the road, being able to control what the players do and the time they spend, and there's no real distractions. And yes, it's really hard to be away from home as Canberra continue their three-point shooting prowess. But You know, it'd be interesting if all of a sudden they lost a couple of games and they were at home. Not that I think that's going to happen, but something to certainly consider.
That is like a heat-guided missile out of the hand of Talia Tapea at the moment. She cannot miss from long range. 4 of 4. As Akuzo tries to go to work, and they've lost it. It's a 35-point spread. When they're 14 of 26 from long range. Usually when a side shoots like that, you think, gee, is someone in particular sort of made 7 or 8 threes or had a spectacular shooting night? They've had 7 different players that have made at least 1 3-point shot.
Well, and that's the thing, and that's what's so difficult. You know, now they've got 5 players in double figures. That's so difficult to defend, because if one player is absolutely shining, you can say, all right, I want you to go out, deny them the ball, just no catch, don't, and really focus in on that one player. But wow, right now for Canberra, it's 5 of them. And again, that's indicative of 20 assists for the game. They're playing team basketball.
Sykes thought about passing, pulls up. Not quite. 8.5 to play. Nicholson off hurt. As Megan Huswaite told us, unlikely to return as Reid makes the bucket. I know a lot of teams in the competition look at the Capitals as a sort of model franchise, as the type of team that you want to base your build around as to how you put together a ball club. And they've had a hell of a record over the last 20 years. It's amazing to think that when the Capitals started, their first 14 years, Laurie, they made the playoffs once in their first 14 years. And in the 22 years since, they've missed only 8 times with 9 titles and twice been the runners-up.
Boy, you really had to dig to come up with that stat, but it's quite incredible. And that's the thing about when you talk about a good franchise, a good club, is the longevity of it and the fact that they're in the playoffs most years. Whether they win it or not, and they've certainly won their share, they're still up there every year vying for it. And that, to me, is a very successful program.
I think they're now 1 behind the Perth Wildcats as sort of ball clubs in Australia, as the second most successful in terms of titles won. But yeah, as you said, what they're able to do year in, year out. They set the standard in the women's game. There's a foul called on McSpadden here. She's not all that pleased about it.
Personal foul number 2 for Alex Bunton.
Sorry, the foul called on Bunton. It's going against McSpadden, so it'll be Townsville ball. Here's Billings. Not quite. And there's Bunton on the rebound. First time we've seen Canberra in a nationally telecast game. They were slated a couple of times, including for what would have been Kelly Wilson's 400th game. The game ultimately didn't go ahead with sort of late COVID cases bobbing up and was rescheduled a number of times.
Personal foul number 2 for Steph.
That was the longest celebration of a 400th game. We just never seem to get. I can imagine how she was feeling.
It's also, I think, natural that you sort of, and particularly with what we do, I mean, we cover every team in the competition, and you end up sort of having slight biases to the sides that you sort of see more of naturally, and you're aware more of their strengths and weaknesses. But boy, do we need to pay very close attention to Canberra, which it feels like you need to do it every single season. But they have so many weapons, as you've touched on, with the scoring spread in particular that they've had. So it's one thing to put up 78 points in this sort of time, but the way that they've done it in particular has been something that's been so impressive.
Well, normally you would say at this point of the game with 78 points, somebody would have 25, 30 points. And you look, and their top scorer is Kelsey Griffin with 16. So that's just, it's fun to play with a team like that. It's fun to coach. It doesn't always happen. You know, there's going to be days where Kelsey Griffin does score her 30 points. But in this game today, you know, and they haven't played for a few weeks, it would be really pleasing to the coaching staff.
And Griffin had 14 to half time, so her numbers have dried up as everyone else has risen around her. Sykes trying to pick the pocket of Reid. A great battle that's been, and Sykes is going to be called for a reaching foul. Megan Huswaite courtside.
We're not in the business of shout-outs here on the nationally broadcast game, but due to popular demand, Jade Melbourne, the young gun from the Capitals, has sent me a message asking for one. Jade, Alicia Froling and Shanice Swain are in COVID protocols about 15 minutes from the stadium watching the game, and they're very happy with what they're seeing from the teammates this afternoon.
A shout out to all the girls watching. It's very strategic, the quarantine period, isn't it? You've got to set yourself a bench during the day, and when your ball club plays
that's
at
right.
a particular time, it's a nice event just to fill a couple of hours in the quarantine window.
That's right. If you're quarantining, you're with other people, you might as well do it all together.
Shot's good for Reed. So tech foul, possession going the way of Townsville as well. Three personals on Sykes and Smart. They're the only two players with 3 in the game, let alone 4. With 6 to go. Reed up top. Billings pulls up. Jump shot's a little short. It's Griffin again on the rebound. So Griffin now has 9 boards to go along with her 16 points. Billow draws the double team and that heavy foul from Billings. So it'll be a fascinating run home in the competition, as we've touched on. You've got obviously the Perth, the Lynx, a chance to go home, and I imagine that'll be a significant advantage. There's been sort of little travel period in the competition over the last couple of years, and now you've got sides crossing the Nullarbor to go and play the Lynx, who are sitting on top of the table. More points. KG 23 up to 18. Melbourne.
Usually about this point of the game, I'm starting to think, oh, I wonder if we're going to go into overtime, as Megan's probably laughing right now about that. But now I'm thinking, I wonder if the Caps are going to get 100 points.
Yes. Shot's good as the board lights up from Monique Billings.
That's her 5th point of the game.
Tapia misfires. Offensive rebound for Griffin. Sykes spins it inside to Button. Controls the ball. Putback's good. With a second left on the shot clock.
Not much Courtney Woods could do in that situation where Button just really had the height advantage.
.34 margin. Monique Billings shares it with McSpadden. Up top. Reed for 3. No good. McSpadden clever. Just taps it back to Reed's advantage. Woods has a clean look. Doesn't miss those. Courtney Woods with the corner 3. Oh, there's the early advance. Button underneath the basket, pulls it down and pushes off Woods, who draws the offensive foul. Talk us through this one, Laurie Chiswick.
Well, I mean, good running by Alex Button and good vision by Kelly Wilson. Should have made the first basket. I think she got that rebound and definitely pushed off to try and create space.
It's freebies, I think, for our kiddos. Who needs a drink bottle to take to school and say, yeah?
31 the margin. It was 32 at three-quarter time. It was 22 at halftime. Let's see if we can listen in here.
Right, so Woodsy here, Mia, Lara, Steph, Mick, right? Screen down, right? Come and set the pick. You come off. Mia, you screen here for Mick coming out and then empty, right? And now Lara, you're flaring Woodsy, okay? If the pass isn't on, Steph, you keep it. So if you can't make the pass, you keep it. Courtney, keep going. And now Lara ball screen Steph and attack that way, right? Hey, stay with it here, stay with it. Man, here we go. Right, here we go.
I think that message from Shannon would have to be that, you know, at least you know, play it out, play out this game. They've stayed even within this last quarter, so they haven't given any margin. In fact, they've outscored them a couple points this last quarter. So that's what he'd be looking for. At least play it out, show some pride out in the court.
Women's Basketball World Cup, of course, coming to Australia in 2022 this September. We're going to have 10 action-packed days of competition, 12 nations battle it out for the world title. As Reed with a nice reverse layup. More information on that, you can visit womensworldcup.basketball. That's womensworldcup.basketball. And I think we'll have a bit of time in the post-game, Laurie Chiswick, to talk about the Opals and their, we call them qualifiers. They're obviously the hosts, so they were going to play in the tournament regardless, but got out of Serbia with a couple of wins and one loss with a bit to learn out of that. Here's Bunton for three. Catches the front of the rim, doesn't go, and Cox on the rebound. Mia Murray says, I'll shoot it. Not quite. Final 3 minutes. NBA this weekend, it's All-Star weekend, and these last 3 minutes could look a little bit like the All-Star game with
just people throwing it up with
both teams just getting up and down the floor. And the result taken care of much earlier in the contest. A lights-out shooting display by the Canberra Capitals. They shot, or have shot so far, 14 from the three-point line, 14 of 29. Spread across 7 different players. Cox tries her hand from three. No good. Last touch by Murray. Canberra ball.
I can imagine that Townsville right now are thinking, let's just get this game over with. Let's forget it, move on, and, you know, chalk this up to a bad, bad loss. Let's hope that Lauren Nicholson isn't seriously injured and, you know, that she's back for the next game.
Griffin off target. This is the rim. All right, next stop for the Townsville Fire. They find themselves up against the Melbourne Boomers in their next outing. There's Woods off target there. Meanwhile, for the Canberra Capitals, they've also got the Boomers next weekend. So the Boomers with that first leg at home and then play again later in the weekend.
And interestingly, Canberra haven't played Melbourne yet. So that'll be their first encounter together. You know, just the nature of the draw and having to make up games and canceled games and that this late in the season, they haven't even played each other yet. So that'll certainly be fascinating because they are both two top 4 teams vying for positions.
Absolutely fascinating ending to the season. The shot is off target from long range for the Fire. Final 80 seconds. Bunton, scoop layup doesn't go. McSpadden, nice bit of work on D. It'll be a fascinating finish. The Fire currently in 5th spot, well and truly in the playoff mix. As Woods for 3 more, battens that down. Mentioned earlier, shooting credentials in the college days. All-time leading 3-point shooter in the history of Northern Illinois College. Made a couple of threes from the corner in this final term. So Lynx, Capitals, Boomers, Lightning, Fire, and a couple of games gap before we get into the Southside Flyers, the Bendigo Spirit, who have won a couple on the bounce now. And the Sydney Flames, just the 1 win so far. Smart, first shot misses, put back short.
The big question mark about Townsville is where they're sitting on the ladder, but who their wins have been against. So they've had 3 wins against Sydney, 1 win against Bendigo, Adelaide in the very, very first game of the season, and that comeback win to Melbourne by 2 points. So they've struggled against the top teams, and you have to beat those to be in contention to get in the Final Four.
Down low to McSpadden, goes to work. Woods recovers it. Cox up top to Reed. They share the basketball. Away it goes to McSpadden. Shot goes up. They've been an error with the shot clock. Refs let them go, and Woods is fouled underneath the basket.
Yeah, it definitely hit the ring. It just was a matter of they forgot to reset it. at least the players kept playing. They recognized that it had definitely hit the rim.
Personal foul number 4 for Britt Smart.
Can't wait to ask you in the post-match, Laurie, about your championship hierarchy, how you see the top 5 teams at the moment, if you were to seed them, as to what order you may have them in. We'll get all the wash up from the Canberra camp as well and check in with Lauren Nicholson. A home game for Perth around the corner on the weekend of March 3. Megan Huswaite breaking that news in this final term. So all of that's still to come. A late turnover. Shot goes up from Murray, doesn't go. Button pulls down the rebound, and that'll do us. No rust for the Canberra Capitals. A statement victory after 14 days off. They do a job on the Townsville Fire, 84-58. 36 points in the finish. It was a lights-out shooting display. 14 made threes for the Caps. They led by 16 at quarter time, 22 at the half, 32 at three-quarter time, and 36 at the end of the game. 7 different players made at least one three-pointer. The Capitals 84, the Fire 58. That was comprehensive, Laurie Chiswick.
Well, it certainly was, and Canberra and their fans would be really happy with that performance. The shooting performance, the defensive performance, keeping the Townsville Fire to 58 points. The way they went about their business as far as the team, the chemistry, the assists, the taking care of the ball, really a great effort.
5 players in double digits. Griffin leading the way with a double-double, 18 and 11. The rest of the numbers, Wilson had 11 points and 7 assists. Sykes 13, 5 and 8, her numbers. 12 points for Talia Tapea. The 4 mates that she had all came from beyond the three-point line. 12 for Brittany Smart as well, ended up making a couple of threes late in the piece. This Kelsey Griffin at 34 years of age, still leaping up and grabbing the rim.
She was, that was impressive.
She's played 4 quarters of basketball. Leads the way with a double-double and still has energy left. Megan Huswaite is courtside with Brittany Sykes.
I sure am, and she's got fans in the crowd. It's glorious having imports back in the league this season because we have a star like Brittany Sykes in the competition. How are you enjoying being part of this Canberra team?
I love it. I'm in love with this team. Ever since I got here in October, it's just been amazing to see how much we've grown as people and as, you know, as basketball players. It's just been a great place for me to grow.
What do you love about the Caps team?
Man, it's so many things. If I had to pick one, I'd say it's the resiliency of our team. We faced a lot of adversity this year thus far in this team in this season with COVID and just personal issues, and we still managed to find a way to come to work every day and love what we do and love each other and push each other. So the resiliency of this team.
Came to work today, found your way. You had 8 players because you've got players in COVID protocols. Had a huge first half which set the tone. How big was this win?
Oh, it was huge. You know, every win going forward is going to be huge because it's so much uncertainty with this COVID protocols and everything, and we just try to take the mentality of next man up, and today we had 8 players and we got the job done.
How do you find the league? Was it something that you had to get used to coming into it, the style of play, the way it's refereed?
No, I think it's been pretty cool. It's been pretty neat to come in and get my feet wet in the first couple of games, and there's a lot of great players on every team, imports and, you know, those from Australia. It's been really cool to play against everybody.
Now, we've been loving your updates on Instagram. You're a big foodie.
Yes, I am.
You are, and you've got really into the farmers markets here and been cooking up a store.
Yes, actually, I'm excited because it's been about, I want to say, a month and a half since I've been to the farmers market. So tomorrow, 8 a.m., I am happy to be going back to the farmers market.
What are you buying tomorrow?
Some capsicums. No, that's peppers. And I'm getting a lot of greens. I get a lot of my greens from there. And I love the ginger apple cold press. So I'm looking forward to getting me a nice liter of that.
Enjoy that. We are enjoying you in the league this year. Thanks for your time today. Good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you so much. You stole me that lamb.
Yes, I do.
She's the steals leader in the competition, Brittany Sykes. She was the steals leader in the WNBA last season, playing with the LA Sparks. She's going to be a teammate of Liz Cambage for the upcoming season after Liz signing with LA during the week. Whether it's Jackie Young or Tiffany Mitchell or Monique Billings, who didn't have her best display tonight, but we know what she's capable of. We are so lucky to have the imports back in the league, Laurie Chiswick, and she has been outstanding throughout. Brittany Sykes. There's the numbers. The three-point line in particular tells a story. 14 made threes for the Cavs.
Well, there's a couple of things that stand out, and certainly the most glaring is the three-pointers and the amount of shot, the percentages. The other thing for me is the assists, 23 assists. Again, we talked about it all game. Such a team game, and they just did it brilliantly.
26 points in the finish. I think I said 36. The numbers got a little too big for me.
You were a little bit excited there, Corbin.
I got a bit carried away. But 26 points was the final margin, 84-58 victory for the Capitals. It was wide. I'll tell you that much. It was wide early in the piece. Megan Huswaite is with Alex Bunton. Megan.
I am with Alex Bunton and Opal. Alex, it's been a big day.
It has, guys. But we're glad we won, huh?
Yes?
Yeah.
Amazing of you to share your story today. What's the response been like?
Look, it's been really overwhelming, but in a really positive way. It's thanks to you. This week has been a lead up. You know, we thought it was going to come out tomorrow, but having it out today just added to this win, and I just hope that my message gets across to anyone who needs some hope in their life and to reach out and if they need any help.
You've had a big response already. You've even had some women reach out that have experienced similar things.
Yeah, and it's really rewarding for me to know that people can come to me and know that it's a safe place, and to relate to me and to know that I understand where they are and where I've come from. So to have this platform now and to hopefully be a spokesperson or just someone to look up to, like, it's something really special in my life, and I'm really proud of myself.
We're proud of you too. How big has basketball been in your recovery and your healing?
You know, being surrounded by people, not a lot of people knew where I came from, so to now be able to explain where I've come from and for people to really understand, you know, my journey, and just be surrounded by really quality people, and to have my coach and my team here support me, it's been something I'll never ever forget, and it's just the start for me.
It is just the start for you. A great team win today under a bit of adversity. How big is that victory?
Look, you know, we haven't had a game in a couple of weeks. We had the FIBA break, and then obviously our game on Thursday was cancelled. So to come out here and play Townsville, we knew that from last game when we won, they would have come out and would have had some pressure for us. So for us to win again and for us to get another win under our belt, like, we're on top of the world, I think.
It's been a big day. Proud of you, Bunt.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Megan Huswaite, beautiful interview with Alex Bunton. If you missed
But you got the win today and it was a good one.
Yeah, obviously not having the game against Southside, you know, just we had to reschedule our week and what that looked like, and I thought the girls came out with great intent in the first quarter, in that first half. I couldn't have asked for anything as a coach, anything better. I thought our ball movement, the way we moved the ball, we got great shots and we played really together as a team.
How important was a big start given that you had 8 players today?
I think any game you want to come in with a good start, and I think today was more so important. I think, you know, missing out that game against Southside, we had a little bit more energy and juice to us, and we knew Townsville are a good team, and we wanted to, you know, make sure we had made a statement at the start of the game in our execution offensively, but also the defensive end.
Well, it helps both ends when your leader, Kelsey Griffin, sets the tone.
Yeah, she's been great, and I think she just gets better and better and continues to be a great leader for us. But she sets a tone for us at both ends of the floor, and continually what she gets done in this league year after year is, to me, she's got to be up there still with an MVP candidate.
How enjoyable is it coaching Britt Sykes?
She's great, ball of energy, competitiveness. I don't think I've coached anyone more competitive. You put her, Kelsey and Kelly together and you've got three of the most competitive people in the world. But she's a great person, great to have here, and it excites the crowd.
How proud of you? How proud are you of Alex Bunton and what she's been through and her sharing her experience?
Yeah, obviously your article, which you did a great job of, like today, awe-inspiring in what she's been through personally, and to be able to come back here in Canberra and play for us with the Caps, and her as a mother, I think, you couldn't have asked for a better role model.
Well, a great win today, great crowd at home. Congratulations on the winning streak, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks, Megan. Thank you.
They certainly did that and shot the lights out, particularly in the first three quarters.
Well, I think Paul Goris made a really good comment when he said, they played together. They did it right from the tip-off. They really worked well together. They found the open player. They went from a good shot to a great shot. And when you're shooting the lights out like that, how fun is that to play and coach?
Absolutely. We'll look at a couple of the players in particular. There were so many of them that were able to make double digits. Kelsey Griffin was one of them who ended up with the numbers of 18 and 11. But it was, they had so many weapons, didn't they, offensively? And I think that'll be the thing that'll put the fear in the rest of the teams in the competition.
Well, that's right. And we talked about that. Nobody had above 20. Nobody had 20 points or above. So it really was, I think 6 players were in double figures. And that's such a great way to play. And for the opposition, you go, wow, now they're all shooting the ball really well. Who do we focus on?
Kelly Wilson's like the Benjamin Button of the WNBL. She's aging backwards, I think. She's 38, would you believe? And yet she came up with 11 points tonight. 3 of 5 from 2-point range. She was 1 of 2 from long range. Also had a handy 7 assists as well, just as a floor leader to have out there. Obviously someone who who knows all about championship success.
I am so impressed with the way she continues to move. It hasn't changed in all those years. She's as fit as can be. She's so energetic. She's light on her feet. She's ready to shoot. She's ready to cut. She's ready to pass. And she can still defend. So, and the thing I like about Kelly, and always has, she's always got a game face on. It rarely changes. It's nice to see her in an interview where she has a little smile, because she's really serious, and as again Paul Goris alluded to, super competitive when it comes to trainings and to games. So it's fantastic to see her still the same way after over 400 games.
Absolutely. Round 11, it's been a busy round already. On Thursday night, a win for the Bendigo Spirit over Townsville, up in Townsville. We had obviously the game here this afternoon with a big win for the Caps, but we still have plenty more on the way in this weekend in the WNBL, starting with the game which is coming up tonight, so 7:30 Eastern Daylight Time. The Southside Flyers up against the Adelaide Lightning. So the Lightning are one of the teams well and truly in playoff contention. They currently sit fourth with a record of 5-3. And the Flyers bizarrely have a forfeit on their record. They sit 3-7, the defending champions.
Well, I think for Adelaide, I feel like they've only played 8 games. That's the least out of any team. So they've got some games to make up. They'll be really glad to have their 2 stars back from the Opals in Alana Smith and Steph Talbot, who we know are really influential in what they do. But Southside, as we can see here, they're going to have to pull out a lot of stops to beat Adelaide. But they certainly have the personnel, especially with their Opals players returning as well.
Coming up tomorrow, we've got the game between Melbourne and Sydney. Feels like whenever Melbourne plays Sydney in whatever competition it is, if it's someone from Melbourne arguing against someone from Sydney, it's always one of the great battles that always seems to renew itself. And here we have the 2 teams named after the 2 biggest cities in the country.
Yeah, that'll be another good one, and that'll be something where Melbourne, you know, they haven't been, and I'll talk about that when I talk about my top 5, but consistent. So they need the likes of a Lindsay Allen to really put in a good performance, and you know, Mitchell, they need Tiffany, they need her scoring and being a leader out there. So it'll be interesting to see how they go up. They haven't played for a while too. It feels like we've been saying that, but again, Kayla George, Tess Madgen, they return, and it'll be interesting to see if Ezzy Magbabor is back from injury. Let's hope so.
Have the Flyers got something in them? Can they fire another punch in this season, or is it too far gone?
Oh, I think with the absence of Abby Bishop, that it's going to be a real uphill battle. But when I look at the players that they have left, Beck Cole, Jenna O'Hay, they've still got some really quality players that, you know, given that they'd be in another team, you know, you think they could be within, but they've got a long road to go up to get into that top 4.
I've been teasing it, your top 5. So the way the competition's stacked at the moment, it's the perfect run home. I was actually talking to Paul Goris, the coach of the Caps, during the week, and I said, these are the best ends of the season for people like us that are just neutrals that love to sort of follow the game, and for broadcasters, but for coaches, they're particularly tense. And he recounted a story about the time when he was coaching in Canberra in the early days, and I think they missed out on the very last weekend. But essentially what we have is 5 teams. We've got the Lynx, we've got the Caps, we've got the Boomers, the Lightning, and the Fire.
Yeah.
If you were to put those 5 in any particular order, how would you stack them?
Well, I think I'm going to keep them exactly that way. I think Perth are deserved of that top spot. They've shown that they can really outscore most teams with their offensive prowess and what they do, and they've done it away from home. The question mark will be is how comfortable are they at home now, and whether that will have any impact or even more of a positive impact. Canberra, I think, deservedly are second. When I look at some stats, they're second behind Perth in so many categories. Percent shooting, number of scores, assists, all those things, they're right there in second place. So I'm going to leave them there. Melbourne and Adelaide, I feel like I haven't seen Adelaide for a while. And unless Melbourne play some really consistent basketball, and you know, you and I have talked about this, where we see patches of brilliance where you go, wow, they should be they should be up there as you know, championship contenders for sure. And then they have these odd patches where you just go, what are they doing? And so if they can't play consistently, I'm going to put Adelaide ahead of them. If Melbourne can play consistently 4 quarters for the rest of these games, then I think that 3rd spot for them.
And Townsville 5.
Well, yeah, Townsville, you know, they really needed to at least get 2 out of the 3 in this round, and they just looked a bit I'm not sure. Underdone, a bit flat. Not sure quite where they're at, but I think they're going to have a bit of a battle to get up into that top 4.
All right, so your power rankings, I'm going to hold you to these. You've got Perth number 1. Number 2, you got the Capitals.
Yep.
Then I'm going to give you a swing position here. The Boomers and the Lightning in sort of a 3/4.
Yep.
And then Townsville at 5th, as it stands at the moment. So we'll sort of mark the date. What are we, the 19th of February? And that's Laurie Chiswick's
You're on a hard bargain there.
top 5 as it stands at the moment. Let's kick it back down courtside. Wasn't the night for the Townsville Fire. They lost by 26. One woman who knows all about success is Mia Murray. She's with Megan Huswaite.
Well, Mia Murray, very good to give us some of her time. It hasn't been a great round.
No, expensive round for us, but you know, back to Townsville, back on the drawing board, and train hard, and we'll front up for Melbourne in Melbourne next weekend.
Now, what's gone wrong this weekend? Because it hasn't looked like the typical Townsville. You've kind of lacked a little bit of energy.
Yeah, probably a little bit of resilience. So you know, Plan A doesn't go right. We're sort of just you know, stopping. So getting our groove back on, I think this week we'll focus on.
What else will you be working on at practice in the lead up to the trip to Melbourne?
I'd say a little bit of physicality, toughness, you know, handling defensive pressure, and just working back on our defensive rotations.
Loz, a big injury today. Hopefully it's the best outcome, but it must have been hard to see that happen and then see her on the bench in such distress.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happened to Loz. Unfortunate, she's such a hard worker and a real barometer for our group, both ends of the floor. So here's hoping it's not such a bad outcome, and hopefully we see her on the court sooner rather than later.
There's got to be some good news out of this weekend for Townsville, so hopefully it is Lauren Nicholson.
Yes, absolutely, and it's always sunny in Townsville, so let's hope it's sunny.
Oh, Mia, bless you. Have a safe journey back. Thank you for your time after a loss. It's not easy, but you're an experienced campaigner. You're very generous with your time.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you, Mia.
Townsville vet Mia Murray with Megan Huswaite. A wide loss, but still a smile. 26 points the final margin.
I really am impressed with her honesty in that short interview about what they needed to do, and no glossing over it, and talking about resilience, needing to be a lot more aggressive, needing when plan A doesn't work, you can't just stop, and all those are really important messages, and so somebody like me is a real leader. Shannon Seabon's a great coach, so hopefully they will go back to Townsville and be able to reset and see what they can do in the last few weeks of the season.
Prayers up for Lauren Nicholson. Hopefully that's not as serious as what it first looked. Megan Huswaite brought us the news during that final quarter about the Perth Lynx. Megan, for people that are just tuning in, it looks like the Lynx are going to get some games at home.
They finally are. They are in home quarantine at the moment, out of that tomorrow, which is wonderful news. They've been able to still practice with the team during the week, but they are so excited to play at home. I caught up with Alex Sharp during the week, one of the Lynx stars. This is her second season with Perth, but she's never played a home game because, of course, last season was in the hub. So super excited to get on that home court. The fans haven't been able to get to a Perth game since 2019-20. So it is so exciting for the Lynx. We know what they've been able to achieve on the road in their first 9 games, but they now get a home advantage and home games. They're sleeping in their own beds. They're back with their family. I'm really excited to see what the Lynx can do.
Oh, I'm excited to go to Perth as well. I can't wait for us to, all three of us, to head over there in time for the playoffs. Of course, the Lynx are going to be featuring prominently there. Megan, great to have you with us throughout the day, and tremendous job, as we've said, on your article. The World Cup is around the corner. We've mentioned it a number of times during our telecast this year. So it's in September. It's at home. The Opals are obviously the hosts. They went away to Serbia for a qualifying tournament. They came back with 2 wins and 1 loss. The loss against Serbia was particularly interesting. They led for large periods and led as well going into the final term. What was your biggest takeaway from what you saw from our national team across those 3 games?
Well, my biggest takeaway was their defense. I thought compared to Tokyo, our defense was much more aggressive, up and in, just exciting. You know, we were putting other teams under the pump, and so I really liked our defense. Turnovers was a bit of an issue, and I think especially at the end of that Serbia game, we looked really uncertain in what we were doing and turned the ball over, and that's just not something you can do. You know, you're at that level where presumably there's going to be a lot of close games, and you have to know how to win close games. And then the third thing about that is that point guard position. Sammy Whitcomb did a fantastic job, deserved to be in the All-Star 5, and you know, her leadership and what she brought to the team. That next position, that next point guard is still very much up in the air, and you have to add in Tessa Levy, who wasn't there. So that'll be interesting over the next few months, whether they get any more international competition to be able to test out Rocci and Heel, because they're very different, and what the selectors and coaches want for that position.
The games in which the Opals, or particularly tournaments in particular, so you look at obviously past Olympics, when we've been a team that you squint and think, can they possibly win gold, or at least certainly going to win silver and bronze? They've had a generational top player. They've had someone who's been sort of top 5 on the planet. So first it was Lauren Jackson. They had success. They won silver medals at games. And then in more recent times, Liz Cambage has been that sort of dominant figure that's been there, that when she plays, they look like they can challenge sort of to be sort of a silver or gold medal team.
I think you got to add in Penny Taylor into that mix, because she's just a superstar and knew how to win games.
So in the absence of someone like that, do we need to change our expectations a little bit? That instead of thinking that this team should be sort of thinking that they can sort of at least make it to a gold medal match, do we need to peel back the expectation a little bit in the absence of someone like that?
Well, I think it's almost another element is that for a long time, the Opals, there was a big gap between, say, US, the Opals, and the next. Other countries have really closed that gap, and it's not so much that we've digressed, but other countries have gotten better, and I think people really need to recognize that. Countries like Japan, you know, it was always the expectation that we would go in and beat Japan comfortably. That's not the case anymore. So I think there's that aspect of it. And yes, I do sort of think that this group here, I think if you put together a whole tournament, you had a bit of luck go your way, that we could medal. But I do think that, you know, to think that we're going